Hello and welcome to another AxeFx2 tutorial. Today I will show you the use of the X, Y state buttons. With these buttons you can program two different set of parameters for the same block in the AxeFx. So for example you can have two different amp settings. For the amp block you can have two different drive settings including all parameters for the drive block, and you can have different settings for the cab block and just switch them by pressing X or Y. This is very practical if you are comparing sounds, or for example if you want to have a simple setup on stage with a foot controller and just use one amp with a clean and a distorted channel, and you can make this with the X, Y buttons, and I will show you this now. Therefore, we have a clean, an empty sound, and I go to layout, so you see there's nothing there. And then I go to the fifth slot and dial in an amp. And then I go to the sixth slot and dial in a cab. I first set the cab to one of my favorite speakers there is in the AxeFx, and that's the 1960 BV30 with vintage 30 speakers. So now I go to layout and I will now edit the amp. And I just tried the amp which I really liked, and that's this one, Citrus RV50. Okay, what I want to have now is I want to have on X, I want to have this amp with a clean sound, and on Y I want to have this amp with a distorted sound. So I go here with A, I make the drive a little less and the level a little more, so the volume is like I want it. And then I copy this set of parameters to the Y section by just pressing Y a little longer, and it asks me copy X parameters to Y, and I press enter. And I have the same on X and on Y. And now I can change the drive to a little more. First I have to set the level a little less so it doesn't get too loud on my ears here. And now the A. By the way, I'm doing this with the quick control knobs, which you should use very often because it's a very convenient way of setting your parameters. So level a little more. And there I have it. On X, I have a clean sound. And on Y, I have a distorted sound. The clean sound is a little too loud, so I put this a little less. This one a little louder. Just like pressing a foot switch on a real analog amp, if any of you remember. That's not all I can do. I can now change every parameter independently for the X and for the Y settings. So maybe for example, I will adjust the bass on the clean sound, make it a little more. And if I switch to Y, you see, it's still in the middle. X, it's there, and Y, it's in the middle. So every parameter I can change. And for example, I cannot only use this to change from a clean to a distorted sound, but to compare certain sounds. Maybe compare a Marshall simulation of some Plexi Marshall to a JCM 800 Marshall to hear the differences just by pressing one knob instead of dialing in everything. Yeah. And it remembers all the parameters. So very cool thing. Next thing I want to show you, I will put this to clean again, go to layout and show you what you can do with the drive block. It's pretty much the same, but I will now compare two different drive pedals. So here we have it, drive 1, dial it in, and quickly change from the red distortion to BB preamp, where is it? There's it. BB preamp. I set the level a little less and the gain much more. And the tone, so it has a little more highs. That's the BB preamp sound. And on Y, I want to have the exotic ACB, which was already set. I want to have the drive very high, level a little less. Tone, maybe a little brighter. And the mix again at 100%. So I hear the level on this one is much higher, so I have to put it back. Make it a little higher here. And now I can compare the sounds. And that's a very convenient way in comparing two different sounds from one block. The last thing I want to show you is how you do this in the cabinet block. I mean, it's pretty much the same. So I go to the cabinet block here, press edit, and I will copy the settings of X now to Y. So you have to press Y. It's always the button where it copies to, you have to press. And then press enter. And now I want to audition another cabinet that is similar to this one. So it has vintage 30 speakers, probably. For example, this one. Or maybe this one. And now you can hear it's very similar, but there's a little bit difference. And sometimes you're just looking for this little bit of difference, which makes the last ice on the cake on your sound. So therefore, the X, Y buttons are very, very helpful. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is how you set up your MFC foot controller so you can adjust these X, Y settings via your feet. To assign the XY state to the MFC 101 foot controller, you have to do the following. Press the edit button, then go to the MIDI edit menu by pressing button 4, then scroll with the page buttons until you reach this IA01. Now I want to, for an example, I want to assign drive block 1, amp block 1 and cabinet block 1, the XY states, to these three buttons, 11, 12 and 13. First I have to go with increase to button 11. Then with the parameter knob I go to scene 1. In this, normally there's none or something else, and just look where the drive 1 is. There it is. That's it. Then IA switch 12 is on scene 2. I want it on amp 1, XY. Very important, you have to choose amp XY, not just amp. If you choose just amp, it will only switch on and off the amp block, where it is. There it is. Amp 1. If you choose this, it will switch on and off the amp block, not change the XY state. So you have to use this one. Okay, parameter back, IA 13, and it's already on cap 1 XY, and that's it. We press exit save and it's saved. Try it out. There it is, drive 1, amp 1 and cap 1. Okay, that was it for today. I hope you had fun and liked this tutorial. See you in the next one. Bye.